Hey, what's up guys? I'm just waiting on my monitor to see if this is actually working because I'm still trying to get to grips with this whole live stream thing. So I'm just looking over at my monitor at the moment to see. Oh, there we go. I can see myself. It's working. Hey guys, welcome to the live stream Q&A for UFC 235. Thanks a lot for your support this week as well. It means a lot to me. I said I would do this live Q&A video if every video I put out this week got 50 likes, and they did. As you can see here, just made it by 1 like on yesterday's video, but it's all good. We got there. I just put out part 4 of my breakdown videos for this week, where I talk about Woodley versus Usman, but spoiler alert, I don't think the 3 fights in that video are that great for betting, so you're better off just watching this instead at the moment, because unless you're live betting tonight's fights, I wouldn't bother with watching that, to be honest with you. So another thing about this video is I really do apologize if there are any technical issues during this video. The live streams do push my internet connection quite hard, and I live out in the countryside where we're only able to have one internet provider, so I'm really sorry about that. I do have the fastest internet I can buy for where I live, but sometimes it does struggle a little bit with these live streams. So what I will do, guys, this video is obviously predominantly to try and identify a good value prop bet for every fight taking place this weekend. So I will start with that by going through each of these matchups. And if you want to ask me any questions about tonight's fights starting about an hour and a half, leave them in the live chat box. And I will do my best to answer them after we've got through the prop bets. So kicking off here, I just want to make it clear that prop bets, like I said, in last week's live stream, the variance on prop bets is very, very high. The vast majority of prop bets you will place will lose because you introduce so many more variables into prop bets than when you bet on straight win or loss money line bets. So prop bets can derail the growth of your bankroll and the growth of your betting account by quite a lot. For that reason, when you're betting on props, I do recommend to keep a separate amount of money and just basically treat prop bets as a bit of fun because the variance is so high on them. This is a concept that a lot of people don't really understand too good, but the goal of making money in betting is to maintain a high win rate so that over time you're consistently banking wins and you can consistently compound those wins into basically your money growing fast. Problem is, when you suffer a lot of losses or a poor win rate, those losses will eat into your account balances and your bankroll, which means you can't use compound interest to grow your money as fast. So what I would say is, with the variance being so high on prop bets, just take it easy with them. Don't go crazy. Bet small, and don't bet an amount of money that could put your bankroll at risk. Stick to straight money line bets and you'll do a lot better. What I would also say about prop bets is that you should be looking at these as just a way to make fights more interesting. They're not a viable way to make money because, generally speaking, the max bet limits on prop bets are very low. So as your bankroll starts to increase, you start to become a more serious bettor. You just won't be able to bet on prop bets because max bet limits are really low. On a lot of European sites, the maximum you'll be able to bet on a lot of the props I may mention today is literally like £5. So yeah, not really good, to be honest with you. Good to build up a little bit of money and a little bit of a bankroll in the early stages, but long term, not great. So let's jump into the first fight. And remember, these bets should be just treated for fun. We're trying to make every fight a little bit more interesting just by trying to find a decent prop bet on each fight taking place. So we're going to kick it off with Hannah Ciphers versus Pollyanna Vienna. Now, if we take a look at the prop bets on this fight, I do believe that that Ciphers is so tough that there is a good chance that this fight goes the distance. So if we scan through the prop bets here and find the decision lines, Ciphers is tough enough to weather the storm that the Vienna might bring to the table. Let me just scan through and try and find the decision line. So Vienna to win by 3.21, that's decent. To be honest, I do like that prop bet, guys. Another bet that I really like that I've just noticed is the over 1.5 rounds on this fight. Hannah Ciphers is extremely tough, extremely durable, good at defending herself on the ground. And even though I expect Vienna to be able to use her physical advantages to overpower Ciphers and dominate this fight, I do believe that over 1.5 rounds on a female fight is amazing. Bookies showing no love to Ciphers here at all. They're basically expecting Vienna to go out and murk her fast, which is a little bit strange, to be honest with you. If we look at the records of both girls, let's take a look here. You can see that, if we just wait for it to come up here, you know, Vienna has got a lot of wins over low-level opponents by submission, you know, TKOs on the ground. But look at the records of the opponents she's faced. You know, Deborah Silva looked like she was making her debut. Then when she faced a slight step up in opposition against Aline Sattelmeyer, it went the distance. You know, all the girls that she's finished fast have been a really low level by the look of it. And then as soon as she goes up against a decent level of opponent with JJ Aldrich, again, it goes the distance, just like when she fought Sattelmeyer. You know, Ciphers is extremely tough. She can take it. You know, the amount of damage that Macy Barber was able to inflict on the ground in the last fight, you know, I think that Vienna to win by decision could be a good bet there. You know, it's a female fight. The vast majority of female fights tend to go the distance. I do like that. Also, the over 1.5 rounds at 1.50, pretty generous. I do like that a lot. So moving on to the next fight, guys, we have got Gina Mazzani against Macy Chiasson. Again, over 1.5 rounds on a female fight is usually something I would jump at. But with Chiasson being so much larger than Mazzani and so much better on the ground, I do think that this bet is a bit of a risk, to be honest with you. Probably would pass on over 1.5 rounds on this fight. But if we scan through, let's see what Chiasson is to win by submission. So Chiasson to win by submission is 2.56, which I don't love. To be honest with you, I actually prefer Chiasson to win by knockout or TKO odds of 4.20. Not because I think that Macy Chiasson is going to be able to knock Gina Mazzani out, but just because I see it as quite likely that Chiasson would be able to catch Mazzani in a bad position on the ground and finish her with ground and pound, soften her up with ground and pound. You know, Mazzani does have decent submission defense. She is quite tough, but she also has bad cardio and tends to slow down as the fight progresses. So at odds of 4.20, Chiasson by knockout or TKO might be something you want to take a look at. That's not bad. That's quite generous. Like I say, she is primarily a grappler. But the odds on the odds on Chiasson to win by submission are much tighter. And when you're looking at these prop bets, I like, because you're introducing so many more variables and so much more risk, I think that you need to get a decent payout, you know, to take a chance, because you know you're not going to win many of these bets. The variance on prop bets is so high that you need to make sure that when you are placing prop bets, the return is generous. So I would definitely look to take the additional value in the odds. I feel that it's just as likely that Chiasson wins this fight by knockout or TKO as it is by submission, because if she puts Mazzani in a bad position on the ground, could go one of two ways. She's going to be able to set her up for a submission or finish with ground and pound. So roughly, I think those odds should be roughly the same. There's quite a bit more value in Chiasson winning by knockout or KO, or knockout or TKO. I would also look in this fight at Chiasson to win in round 3 or Chiasson to win in round 2. So the odds on Chiasson to win in round 2 aren't great, to be honest with you. They're not great value at 4.25, but Chiasson to win in round 3 at 9.50 might also be worth a little bit of a gamble, because like I say, Mazzani does have really bad cardio, tends to slow down quite bad in the second half of her fights. We saw, actually, if I just pull her record up here, if we bring Mazzani's record up, we saw, sorry, my dog is chosen to play with a squeaky toy. Fucking squeaky duck right underneath the microphone. See, can you like go over there? Jesus, sorry guys. Bloody hell, live TV. If we look at Mazzani, in her last fight against Lena Landsberg, she was actually almost throwing up at the end of the second round. She was heaving, and her corner had to get a bucket to throw up in. So yeah, I do like Hyason to win in round 3, but obviously it could happen sooner. But do like that, guys. Decent value there at 9.50, and not bad value on Hyason to win by knockout or TKO either. So then we have Charles Bird against Eggman Shabazz. I'm going to keep refreshing this page so that we get the latest odds. Cease! Take Ducky somewhere else, bro. He's just staring at me. I don't know if you can see that. Take Ducky somewhere else. He won't look at me now. Sorry, guys. We will keep this going. Charles Bird, Eggman Shabazz. Let's get these props up. So, with this fight, the 2 bets that I'm interested in are Shabazz in round 3 at 13.0. I would take a look at that because, again, guys, in the second round of Bird's last fight against who was it again? It was against Darren Stewart, wasn't it? Let's pull it back up. So yeah, in Charles Bird's last fight against Darren Stewart, he gassed out around about the second round. Shabazz can really test his cardio, can take him down and grind on him. So that is a potentially decent bet there. If Bird starts to gas out in the second round, it's a possibility for Shabazz to take over in the second half of the fight and finish him on the ground with a submission or ground and pound. So Shabazz to win in round 3 at odds of 3.0 are tasty. And the only other one I would go for, let's have a look at the decision line. So Shabazz to win by decision 3.59, Bird 5.65. That's quite high. That is quite high. Shabazz showed in his last fight against Darren Stewart that he is extremely tough. Don't see Bird getting a finish in this fight. So, yeah, guys, I think Shabazz in that one to win in round 3 is another good bet. Trying to just get a win in on fighters who we know have bad cardio. We know that Charles Bird has questionable cardio. We know that Gina Mazzani has bad cardio. So betting against them to lose in round 3 when they're gassed out of their mind and really tired at big juicy odds isn't a bad bet. So I do like Shabazz to win in round 3 there at 13.0, as well as Hyason. So let's move on to the next fight. Diego Sanchez against Mickey Gall. In this fight, I really like Diego to win by decision. What are the odds on that? 4.19. Oh, wow. So Diego's odds have been absolutely smashed since the beginning of the week. At the beginning of the week, when I first recommended a bet on Diego, he was around about 3.80. So he beat the line movement big time on Diego Sanchez. The 2 bets that I like on this fight, actually, there is another one. So shout out in the chat room to Quopsy. Quopsy brought this to my attention earlier on, where he said he thinks that Diego to win in round 3 is a good bet, and I do agree with him, just because Gall was so useless off his back against Randy Brown, but Randy Brown didn't really threaten with submissions, didn't really chip away at him with ground and pound. If he's carrying Diego's weight for 10 minutes and Diego really starts to get that ground and pound going, could see him softening up Gall and getting a finish in round 3. And odds of 22.0 or 29.0 on Bet365 at the moment. That is very generous. Again, Sanchez to win in round 3. We know he's got legendary cardio. We know he can fight at a high pace for 3 rounds. And if he starts to get prolonged periods of top control on Mickey Gall, he could really soften him up with ground and pound and get a late finish, because like I say, Gall didn't look that good at defending himself on the ground against Randy Brown. He was busted up quite bad towards the end of the fight. So those odds, 22.0, 29.0, those are the kind of bets that I'm interested in. Really juicy payouts for a lot of risk. So the only other bet that I would think about on this fight would be Sanchez to win by decision at 4.19. That's not bad either, but obviously there's no point in placing that bet if you've already got Sanchez straight at 3.80 because there's not much of a difference in the odds. Sanchez's odds have obviously been steamed this week. I do think he's probably the best bet on the card. Goal to win by knockout at TKO 3.90. I wouldn't go for that at all. Goal not particularly dangerous standing. And then we have got, what would Gold win by? No, Gold's not. I doubt Gold's going to win by submission, guys. Diego's never been submitted in 39 pro fights. So then on to the next fight, Alejandro Perez against Cody Stamen. I think the likelihood is that this fight is going to go to a decision. But unfortunately, the bookies are all over this. Fight goes to decision is 1.28. So the bookies have got this one well and truly sewn up. Do you know what, guys? I think this could be a close fight. I think it's going to go the distance. Perez to win by decision is 4.98. That's not bad. Stamen by decision 1.65. That is garbage. Do you know what, guys? The best prop bet on this fight is probably Perez to win by decision. That's quite generous. Odds are around 5.0 because it's very unlikely he's going to finish Stamen inside the distance. Stamen's extremely tough. Perez not really that dangerous. Doesn't have too much power in his hands. So yeah, I think the Perez win by decision is the best bet on that fight. No doubt about it. On to the next one then. Johnny Walker versus Misha Cirkunov. A lot of people got unhappy with me this week for being nasty about Johnny Walker. I'm not being nasty. I just like to give a balanced view. So if all the MMA media are, you know, hyping up Walker big time, I just want to give you the other side of the argument and show you the footage to back it up. And as you saw in the breakdown from this fight, Walker has massive issues when it comes to takedown defense and massive issues on the ground. And I know a few people said in the comments this week that Makoviak had a big size advantage over Walker. And that's true, but at the same time, Walker's 6'4". But size doesn't change the fact that Walker looked completely helpless off his back. Didn't show the correct technique to try and work his way back to his feet. Didn't show any urgency, willingness or desire to improve his position. Just accepted being on the bottom, and weight's got nothing to do with that. You know, if I understand if a fighter's got a heavier opponent on top of them and they can't improve their position because, you know, physically they're just out-muscled. But that wasn't the case in this fight between Makoviak and Walker. Walker simply just wasn't using the correct techniques to advance position, improve position, or stand back up. So the only two bets that I would really consider in this fight, and the odds aren't great. Walker in round one is obviously attractive because, like I say, that knockout loss the Cirkunov suffered at the hands of Ozdemir is one of the weakest knockouts I've ever seen in my life. It was a strange glancing shot that didn't really seem to land on Cirkunov that much at all. And normally, like when you see a guy like Cirkunov eat that kind of shot, normally it just wobbles you or stuns you, knocks your equilibrium off. But if you go back and watch Ozdemir's KO of Cirkunov, he literally flatlined him. Like, Cirkunov was out cold, face down, arse up, completely dead. One of the weirdest knockouts that I've literally ever seen in my life. So with Walker being so dangerous, especially early on in a fight, Walker by round one is definitely interesting. But I think if the fight does go past round one, I'm pretty confident the Cirkunov is going to take it. What have we got? Cirkunov by decision. So Cirkunov to win by decision at 3.45 is attractive to me. Walker showed that he's so low level on the ground that Cirkunov should be able to tie him up in knots and cause him all kinds of problems if he gets him down. But to be honest with you guys, the difference between Cirkunov to win by submission and Cirkunov to win straight isn't that great. Sorry, I've got to pick my wife up soon, so just making sure that everyone's still okay. But Cirkunov to win by submission is not that different from Cirkunov to win straight, so I would just take Cirkunov straight, to be honest with you, at these odds. These odds are starting to get out of hand at 2.60. Yeah, those odds are starting to get silly on Cirkunov, so yeah, I would just take Cirkunov straight at this point. And then on to the next fight, Jeremy Stephens against Zabit Magomed Sharipov. What is Stephens to win by knockout or TKO? So that's 4.67 on Stephens win by knockout or TKO. I'm questioning those odds because I don't see Stephens being able to win the fight by decision, just because his takedown defense isn't that great. So Zabit should be able to take him down and grind him out. If Stevens wins, I do think it will be by knockout, but the odds of 4.67 aren't amazing, if I am honest with you. What is Zabit to win by decision? Let's take a look. 2.54. I don't love it. I do not love it. I don't love it. Those odds are quite tight. Matt Sharapov to win by submission. Do you know what, guys? I don't really like the odds on this, on the props on this fight at all. Don't really like them at all, guys. I would not bother with a prop bet on this fight. If you really, really want to gamble, I would take Stevens to win by knockout or TKO. But Zabit with that Dagestani chin, I wouldn't bank on it. It's unlikely Stevens gets the knockout or TKO there. That's the best prop I like, but I would personally pass on betting a prop bet on that fight. Nothing I really like there. So then moving on to the next one, we got Cody Garbrandt against Pedro Muoz. Let's take a look. Fight doesn't go to decision at 1.56. Oh, I don't know. Muoz is tough. Muoz is tough. I said earlier on in the week that fight could play out one of two ways. Either Garbrandt's going to dominate if he comes out and plays the role of Matador like he did against Dominic Cruz. I think his speed and footwork will be too much for Muoz. But if he gets dragged into a firefight because he's stubborn and he loves a scrap, that fight could get real interesting because Muoz obviously got an amazing chin. So let's take a look. What's Muoz to win by knockout or TKO? So Muoz to win by knockout or TKO at 5.67. That's not bad. Because like I say, Garbrandt is a hothead. He could dominate just by using his footwork and movement and speed to just box Muoz up. But we know that Garbrandt's one of these guys that when he eats a clean, hard shot, sometimes it's almost like he wants to get it back. So, you know, if he gets dragged into a brawl, starts standing in boxing range, flat-footed, exchanging bombs, I trust Muoz's chin way more than I trust Garbrandt's. So Muoz to win by knockout or TKO, that is very interesting. Other than that, Garbrandt to win by decision. What is that? Garbrandt to win by decision, 3.50. That could be worth a look as well, depending on what you... who you see winning this fight. But personally, I much prefer Muoz to win by knockout or TKO just because the payoff's much better. And we're looking for decent paying bets because obviously variance is high on these prop bets. And also, if we take a look at Cody Garbrandt's record, obviously he's coming into this fight against Muoz on the back of two really brutal KO losses to TJ Dillashaw, which took place, you know, that would be, if we take a look, so that would be the last KO loss that Garbrandt suffered to TJ Dillashaw was in August. Sorry guys, the reason why I got confused there is because American dates are a different way around the British dates. So I couldn't work out if that was the 8th of August or the 4th, or the 8th of August or the 8th of April. I was just a little bit confused, but we worked it out. What that's significant about that though is that in the last year or so, Garbrandt has been KO'd twice, and the last time he was KO'd was only 5 to 6 months ago, which obviously isn't a massive amount of time for your brain to heal. So Garbrandt's brain might not have fully recovered, which could make him more susceptible to a loss by knockout or TKO. And like I say, Muoz has got an amazing chin. And another thing about Muoz is he doesn't give you any time to recover at all. As soon as he hurts you, he's very good at pouncing and getting the finish. So then the next fight, Tecia Torres against Waylaid Zhang. This is another fight which I think is going to be really close. May as well flip a coin on this one. What are the decision odds? They're going to be terrible. They're going to be terrible. Torres to win by decision, 2.48. Zhang to win by decision, 2.60. Ugh. I'd probably pass on that one, guys. I would pass on that one. Those are the only two realistic outcomes I see. I think this fight's going to go the distance. One of these girls is going to win by decision. You may as well flip a coin on it, though. I personally lean Tecia, but the problem with this fight is that Ticia's the more technical striker. Zhang's just a strange striker. She throws like these really weak-ass like lazy side kicks that are really telegraphed and don't come anywhere near to landing, and when they do land they don't have any impact or power on them anyway. And with her hands, her boxing isn't great, but she kind of rushes forward in straight lines with the chin up and exposed. So Torres should be able to outstrike her, but the problem is, as we know, Tecia's got no power in her hands at all, really. And Waylaid Zhang's one of those really aggressive Asian fighters that just likes to walk her opponent down and put loads of pressure on them. So Torres could maybe outstrike Zhang, 2-1. But we know so often that the MMA judging, the way the fight is scored, is subjective. And we can't trust judges to score fights in favour of the fighter counter-striking, working on the outside. So the judges may just give Zhang the win based on forward pressure and aggression and octagon control, even though they shouldn't. Even those factors should not be taken into consideration under the new ABC judging criteria in MMA. Octagon control and aggression is not supposed to be a scoring criteria anymore, or at least not supposed to be scored anywhere near as significantly as it was before the new ABC rules come into play. But it's not going to be... I wouldn't trust judges to award Tecia Torres a decision win having to fight on the outside, even though she's slightly better than Zhang everywhere. She doesn't really have the power to make it count. So the next fight, I don't like any of the odds on that fight, guys. Maybe Torres to win by decision, but the odds on her to win straight are, almost as good. I would just avoid that fight, to be honest with you guys. You may as well flip a coin on it. That is introducing a lot of risk into your bets. So then the next fight, the only two outcomes that I see here is Askren to win by knockout. Lawler to win by knockout or TKO at 4.50, or Askren to win by decision. Both odds are absolutely garbage. Do you know what, guys? There is a prop I like on this fight. There is actually a prop I like on this fight. I would go for Lawler to win in round 3 at odds of 15.25. And the reason being, if we bring up Askren's record here. Now, for this bet to make sense, you'll have to go back and watch my breakdown of this fight from earlier on in the week. But if you remember the clips that I showed you of Ben Askren fighting Nikolai Alexakin, you'll remember that in the 3rd round of that fight, Ben Askren looked extremely fragile standing, and he was really struggling to take Alexakin down. So even if we know Lawler's got good cardio, we know that he peaks late on in fights, and we know that he's very dangerous at all stages in a fight. If Lawler's tired and starts to shoot, desperation takedowns, lazy telegraph takedowns late on in the fight, if he's suffering octagon jitters or any kind of adrenaline dump and starts to slow down, we know if Lawler's walking him down, there's a good chance that the Lawler can get a finish. So I do believe Askren's takedown defense, Askren's takedowns and wrestling and ability to tie guys up will help him survive for a couple rounds, because Lawler doesn't really have that kind of one-shot KO power to kill you dead. He's more of a guy that breaks you down with volume and aggression. But in the 3rd round, when Askren's starting to get tired, that could be interesting. So Lawler to win in round 3 at 15.25, 17.0 on Bet365. That's pretty juicy, to be honest with you. Those are the kind of prop bets that I love. Now this next fight, Usman versus Tyron Woodley in the co-main event. Let's take a look at the props on this. I like Usman to win by decision. The odds are terrible though. 3.39. Okay, so Usman to win by decisions off the menu. The odds on that are terrible. Woodley to win by KO 2.64. Odds are terrible. Don't like the props on this. Do you know what, guys? If you want to bet this fight, I would take Usman to win in round 4 and Usman to win in round 5 at odds of 28.0 or so Usman to win in round 5 is 34.0 on Bet365 at the moment, or 26.0 in round 4. Just flyers, just because we know Woodley doesn't have the cardio to fight at a high pace for 5 rounds. I covered that in the breakdown for this fight that I released a couple of hours ago. If Usman comes out the gate very, very aggressive, makes Woodley work very hard in the early stages of the fight, and drags Woodley into deep waters, we could see Woodley absolutely gassed out of his mind in round 4 and 5. And we know Usman's got legendary cardio, can fight at a high pace for 25 minutes. He could get a late finish in this, and the odds are absolutely juicy, juicy, juicy. I love betting these kind of bets, guys, where we are betting on a fighter who we know has bad cardio to get finished late. I love these kind of bets, so I would definitely take a look at that. And the over set at 3.5, over 3.5 rounds on that one, or 4.5 on some other sites. Right, and then the main event. Before we get into answering some of these questions, I hope some of these prop bets are giving you ideas anyway for you to make your mind up on what you want to go for. So what is Jones to win? See, I don't believe Jones will win by submission. Smith's got really bad takedown defense, but I think Jones looks like the kind of guy that prefers to posture up and use his length to hammer his opponent with ground and pound as opposed to fish for submissions. But Jones win by knockout at TKO is 1.92. Oh my god, that is not good. Don't really like anything here, guys, if I'm honest with you. There is no bets that I would recommend on this fight. Maybe if you're in the mood to gamble, over 1.5 rounds isn't a bad bet. The only thing that concerns me is that Smith's takedown defense is so bad. If Jones really wants to make a statement tonight, he can literally go out, put Smith on his back, and probably get a finish quite quickly on the ground. So over 1.5 rounds isn't bad on this fight, but I don't love it either. So that is it for prop bets for that card, guys. We are now about an hour away from the fight starting. 30 minutes into the video. Let's answer some of these questions. So I did say as well that I would be doing a giveaway in this video, but unfortunately I do have to pick my wife up, and to sort that giveaway out is going to take a little bit of time. So what I will do it in next week's video, but I will give away double the amount that I plan to, because I'm not going to be able to get a giveaway done as well as being able to answer all your questions with the fight starting 1 hour from now. So let's just skim through this. So Crypto MD, the Crypto Doctor, Crypto MD, man, you shouldn't change your name to the Doctor Crypto. I love that better, but Crypto MD riding for Waylaid Zhang tonight. I hope she comes through for you, mate. If you bet her, she is gonna knock Tecia the fuck out, possibly. Don't know. I don't think she will knock Tecia out, but I could definitely see Zhang winning. WrestleMan UK, looking forward to tonight's card. Yeah, I did. I got up about 3 o'clock today. No, actually, I got up about. My alarm went off for about 3:15 in the afternoon, 3:15 p.m. And then I looked at the scores. I was gonna get up to watch a Cardiff against Wolves game. I got up, saw Cardiff were already 2-0 down, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna have another half an hour in bed. So I got up about 4. So Fork or Fire, your opinion on my prop, Torres Zhang to go the distance. Yeah, I do like, let's see the odds on that. So fight goes to decision on Torres versus Zhang is 1.33. Because of all the possibilities in MMA and all the variables, I wouldn't place that bet myself. But if you asked me what I think, if you just took all the odds out of the equation, everything out of the equation, and asked me what I think the most likelihood is, or what the most likely prop to win is on that fight, I would definitely say fight goes to decision. I think someone's going to win a decision. I just think it's going to be a close fight. So yeah, that one should cash, mate. And then the other one is Jones Smith over 1.5 rounds. Yeah, I just mentioned that for sure, mate. I think if you want to bet that main event, over 1.5 rounds is the best bet, because we know John Jones sometimes likes to start slow, find his range, doesn't take too many risks early in a fight, you know, and I think Smith might start quite slow as well, because he won't want to go out and get starched. He'll be worried about being taken down, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think over 1.5 rounds, if you really, really, really want to bet the main event, I would go for that. So then we have got Glare. I can't see if that says Glare or G-I-R. I think Tyron Woodley can't lose to Usman if everything goes as it should. I think Woodley's I think if you're looking at that fight just based on skills, I agree that Woodley is technically better than Usman everywhere, but Woodley's cardio is a big concern. And I think if Usman comes out aggressive early, drives Woodley into the cage, forces him to battle out in the clinch with him for position, I do really think that that fight could get interesting. So yeah, skill for skill, Woodley should win everywhere, but his cardio is a big concern for me. See if there's any more questions. So WrestleMan UK predictions for Dustin versus Holloway. I do love Holloway in that fight, mate, if I'm honest with you. What I would say is that if we just bring up Holloway's record, let's bring it up. The only real question that's left to be answered about Holloway is his takedown defense, because his chin's amazing, his cardio's amazing, his striking's amazing. But we've never really seen him face a high-level grappler that's really going to test his wrestling and takedown defense. You know, Brian Ortega, very high-level grappler, but has no offensive wrestling. Jose Aldo didn't try and take him down. Pettis, obviously, at Taekwondo base. Ricardo Lamas is a grappler, but again, you know, similar to Ortega, doesn't really have any offensive wrestling. Jeremy Stevens, a striker. Charles Oliveira, even though he's developed offensive wrestling in the last couple of years, back when they fought, he didn't really have any offensive wrestling. That kind of had a weird fight ending to the fight anyway, early on. Cub Swanson, striker. Cole Miller is a grappler, but again, no offensive wrestling. Akira Korosani is a striker. Clay Collard is a striker. Andre Philly was a striker back then. Philly didn't really go for takedowns back then. Will Chops, obviously a striker. Conor McGregor's obviously a striker. So Dennis Bermudez is the last pure wrestler that we saw Holloway fight, and that was way back in 2013, and Holloway lost a split decision. So even though in flashes Holloway's takedown defenses look great, we haven't really seen his takedown defense tested now for a very long time, back since he fought Bermudez in 2013. And Poirier is a very strong wrestler. He prefers to strike, primarily a striker, but very technical ground game and strong offensive wrestling. So if Holloway can keep it standing, which I think he can, because in flashes his takedown defense has looked incredible, I think Holloway should be able to outbox Poirier quite easily. But will be interesting to see if Poirier can really test Holloway's takedown defense, because no one since Bermudez has really tried. But yeah, do take Holloway in that fight. On to the next one. Let's take a look. So Tajik Bey says Serkinov is going down in the first. I'm not going to disagree with you, mate. I think it's 50-50. I think we're either going to see Walker kill shot Serkinov in round 1, or I think we're going to see Serkinov put on a grappling clinic. But who knows? I think you may as well flip a coin on it. I think it could go either way for sure. So Dustin will KO Holloway for sure. So WrestleMan UK thinks Dustin will KO Holloway. Honestly, mate, I don't see that. I think Dustin's only real path to victory is using his wrestling. I don't see him being able to outstrike Holloway. Holloway's cardio, output, chin and technique are just too good. Then we have got WrestleMan UK. Tony needs a shot next. I do agree with you, mate. He has been screwed. Orgil Altan Suk. Why not bet on Jones Smith? I think it's just not really any bets I like other than that over 1.5 rounds. I don't think there's much value there. Crypto MD says Waylaid fights like a male. So I'm almost at the end here. So Blair says Usman will struggle to wrestle Tyron. I do agree with you. Early in the fight, in round 1 and possibly round 2, I do think Usman will struggle to tie Woodley up and wrestle with him. But if he can do it in round 1 and 2, even if he doesn't have any success, as long as he's making Woodley work, he can then start to out wrestle him in rounds 3, 4 and 5 as Woodley starts to get tired. Focal Fire, thanks for the video. Thanks a lot, mate. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. The Stefan Nabel, what do you think about Jones to not finish at 4.25? I don't like that, mate. Do not like that. I think Jones is going to get a finish tonight. I do think Jones is going to get a finish. You saw how ferocious he was on the ground against Gustafsson, and Gustafsson's takedown defense is incredible. Some of the best in the history of the light heavyweight division. Smith's takedown defense is some of the worst in the division. So I think Jones is going to want to make a statement, and I think he'll take Smith down and finish him. Anthony Smith has good jiu-jitsu, so I don't think John Jones will try for. I don't think Smith is very good on the ground, if I'm honest with you, mate. I do disagree there. I just think Jones toys with him on the ground, and I think he could get a finish quite easily. Oh, and that is it, guys. So that's all the questions answered. We are about 50 minutes away from the card starting. So nice one, guys. Hopefully you can use some of the information in the videos I've put out this week to make some money. I will be back probably on Tuesday with part 1 of the breakdown video for UFC on ESPN+4. Like I say, hope you can use some of the advice I've given you this week to make some cash. And I'll be back on Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Punch the bookies in the dick. I hope you absolutely smash it and make a ton of money. So night, guys. I will see you on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.